Africa, by the year 2020, it is estimated that between 75 and 250 million people will be exposed to increased water stress. And in some countries, yields from rain-fed agriculture could be reduced by 50%. In East Africa, the impacts include declining crop yields and increasing food insecurity, increased frequency and intensity of droughts and floods, reduced water supply, increase in pests and diseases for livestock, wildlife and crops, increase of vector-borne diseases including malaria and Rift Valley fever, dysentery, bilharzia, cholera and typhoid affecting human health, declining levels of freshwater resources and natural resource-based conflict amongst communities due to declined water and pastures. One of the public health challenges is that there is no safe drinking water for 1 billion people who lack access to an improved water supply source. Richard Kimboa from the East African SUSWATCH network recognizes that stakeholder involvement, right from planning with affected communities, efficient use of water, including new technologies, could solve this challenge.
That it is very vital for getting communities involved in issues of water security, and because it is them that are to be, whose resilience is to be built. And therefore it is very important to get them involved in the planning as well as in the cycle of development overall. And the other thing is around efficient use of water, and that points to the issue of means of implementation in terms of technology transfer, in terms of skills, in terms of information and so on. And then the third one is on knowledge management and sharing. Because what is important is, in order to build resilience, is around getting people to share some of the knowledge is around, some of the technologies within reach. It's maybe in the next village or the next town or the next country. So the importance of sharing this knowledge within communities is extremely important in order to build resilience, because some of the solutions are within reach.
Concerns about managing water quality are growing. Pressures on water availability and waste control are rising too. Reduction of production costs by the industrial sector are relevant in both gaining profits and environmental sustainability. The Cleaner Production Center experts are positive that wastewater can be managed well for reuse in the industry and for onward safe utilization outside the industry.
When we started in 2010, we mapped out industries in order to identify which industries are we going to work with, where are they located. So we have geo-reference maps for the industries, not all of them unfortunately, but a big part of the industries, we know where they are located. Then from there we determine the pollution intensities for each industry. And that was very important because it helps us to focus on those industries that are highly polluting, or let me put it this way, that those industries that are losing a lot of materials and therefore bringing about pollution of the environment. Because what goes into the environment is the resource that has been lost. Now, after determining the pollution intensities, then we could tell which industries to focus on. And from the results, we had the leather industries, we had the sugar factories, breweries, and other industries in that order. So we brought on board industries from those sectors that, from our analysis, that were highly polluting, and unfortunately they accepted, some of them accepted, and we started training them, carried out assessment, implementation, and the good thing is that some of the industries have achieved very good results. One of the industries I will point out is, for example, the leather industries of Uganda, which is a tannery in Jinja. which had previously been closed because of the pollution loading into the pollution impacts on the environment. Now today this company is a very good example of a company that can turn around using the concept of greener production. They have reduced the amount of water that we are using, and of course that one translates into reduction in the effluent. They have reduced on energy consumption, because once you do that, then the operation cost goes down. They have improved the quality of the effluent. One particular thing they have done is the installation of a chrome recovery plant. So the chrome that was previously going as pollution loading into the effluent is now being recovered and taken back as a material for turning. The smell has reduced. The pollution loading in terms of other factors, for example the BOD, which was over 3,000, is now about 500, not yet complying, but at least significantly reduced from over 3,000 to 500. BOD, the chemical oxygen demand, which was over 4,000, is now about 900, and it is work in progress. It is a work in progress. We are sure that in a period of 1 year, 12 months or 15 months, we shall be able to continue working with the company, and we reduce to what the standards requires in terms of effluent discharge.
From the Ministry of Water and Environment in Uganda, there are new innovative approaches to achieve water security, including strengthening local knowledge on water security.
Introduced what we call Appropriate Technology Center in Mukono, where we are doing research in new areas with regard to water and sanitation, and we're also coming up with innovative approaches to water security, both at household level and community level, and also for industrial purposes. It's the technology. The center is right now about 3 years old, and so far we have come up with quite a number of researches in various water technologies, and we also have demonstration centers at the facility for communities and interested sector stakeholders to go and learn from. Well, the lessons so far are that the communities have a lot of knowledge, traditional knowledge, especially with regard to water security, except that we always ignore them and we are not tapping into that knowledge, and something we should move into and develop, so that we address water security at that level, other than introducing modern techniques which are not very user-friendly to our environment. For instance, how to harvest water, how to store it, how to protect water sources, how to ensure that the quality of the water sources are not contaminated. They already have it, but we don't take it very seriously. For instance, the use of clay pots for storing water, even from graphite houses. They have, for instance, tree spaces which they use for protecting the springs. So such trees they don't cut.
Water security is essential for economic growth and development. But most of African countries are actually far from realizing this. And because of the impacts of climate change and climate variability, the cost of it has even become more difficult for the developing countries, like the African countries, to achieve water security. And because water security is essential for economic growth, it therefore poses a challenge in the realization of issues like food security, energy, and even health for African population, and East Africa in particular.
Human rights approach to water and sanitation is necessary. The right to water is defined as the right to sufficient, safe, acceptable, physically accessible, and affordable water for personal and domestic use.